Welcome to another Chess 24 Kingscrusher Blitz Banter. It's 12:50 p.m. So I'm going to go to my challenges now and mute over here. Okay, so our first challenge, Marcel Kitcher. Hi there. And I click accept. Hi Marcel. I think I'll play e4 in this first game. Okay, and yeah, Smith-Morra. I'll stick to what I have played before most of the time for Blitz. So I've got Mayhem in the Morra. It's a book actually on Smith-Morra by Esserman, who I've also actually played. He's a killer in bullet chess. Esserman. Anyway, he did it's very entertainingly written Mayhem in Morra, with the philosophy you might get from the title. His lines aim to create maximum mayhem. Basically, he tries to find the most dynamic, aggressive, and he had a very good game, key game, I think, for selling his book. He drew with Vichy Anand actually from a better position with the Smith-Morra at Gibraltar. So if you want to follow the Smith-Morra, there is some theoretical stuff on it. It's one of the more respectable gambits, I think. I mean, here, you know, the bishop is quite good, the rooks are quite good. You can have worse with white. This d5 square is nice. I think the light squares are nice. Just sit on d5 for a moment. On the chat here, the wing gambit's been mentioned. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as all that. Do I want to keep a post on d5? I wonder. Queen d2. There's always bishop g5 potentially. Knight e7. I'm weakening d6. Knight e3 might be interesting. If I could follow with trying to get a knight on f5. I think actually I'm going to try this. I'll try and get a knight to f5 when he's not looking with knight h4. Oh, actually, no. I don't want to allow d5 from white. But if he takes, I think the idea of getting a knight on f5 is still around. I hope. So let's see. If knight takes, pawn takes, and I'm winning a piece. If bishop takes, pawn takes. I remember a game I covered of Natalia Pogonina on my channel, and she kind of allowed that for this diagonal. Yeah, you do get certain upsides whatever happens here. I mean, I know it's counterintuitive to block your own outpost square, but sometimes that's quite dangerous. Oh, I could have won a piece. I've just let him off. I could have won a piece. I should have been awake there. Let's try and be awake. I let him off. Oh, that would have just ended the game. Alright, it can't take with the queen because the knight takes e7. So let's take here. Bishop takes. Alright, now I can threaten. Rook takes c8 for knight e7. Yeah, I've got to try and stay tactically alert. Naughty. Very naughty. Let's hit b5. Alright, at least I positionally looks okay after queen d5, that outpost. I can get a knight to a5 or queen b7. And rook c7. There's knight d7 coming up, but he loses a6, so rook c7. Yeah, try and focus on the resources of particular positions rather than general principles. So yeah, okay. Knight d7, rook c7 actually is tempting for winning a piece anyway. This one's probably winning a piece anyway, because I don't think there's rook c8 or anything. So it looks as though I'm going to win a piece again. Rook c8, I just take the rook. Queen moves, I'm going to take the bishop. Yeah, I think b5 was a bit dodgy, not just tactically immediately, but positionally, it's kind of let me... Well, this is infiltration on the queen side. Alright, I think I'll just take this rook. Avoiding the back row mate is a good thing. Okay, now I can just take on b8, which protects the queen. I mean, it's kind of a rook up, so more than rook up. Just make sure I don't get back row mated. Mind you, queen c8 would have just been good there as well. Alright, the bishop's not going too far. This check is, as long as it's not back row mate, then that's fine. Alright, I think I'm managing it from here with rook b7. Alright, queen g6. Thanks for the warm-up game, also. I think you're going to be resigning here, aren't you? It's looking a bit as though I've got a small advantage now. Alright, thanks for the game. A nice warm-up game. Thank you. But yeah, I've got to keep alert tactically. Let's play e4. e4. Colin, hi Colin. e4. Yes, let's try again, Smith Morrow. Thank you for giving me the white pieces, guys. You didn't need to. But yeah, I like playing white sometimes. Okay. Now this line of the Smith Morrow, I think there is mayhem to be created, potentially. Oh, when I see a winning line, I mean, if it's winning, it's winning. I'm not a perfectionist in 5 minutes to find the immediate mate. I think that's picked up a lot, actually. I mean, because I think it's a blitz discipline to kind of just relax a bit, and just if you see something clear, you just play it generally in blitz. Maybe maybe that approach is not scalable for longer games. In longer games, I think you do need to find like much more precise moves more of the time. But I mean, even in longer games, you know, finding something clear. But yeah, you want to like find the strongest generally. I mean, from a scientific perspective. But in a blitz game, I think if you see something clear, then that's it. You know, it's like because it's the time conservation principle. You don't need to, like, if you're going to win a game in like 20 moves or like 5 moves, but the 20 moves are quite easy to play, then yeah, it doesn't matter. But if it's a longer game, I think the more you can be a perfectionist, the better. Okay, now here this would be losing. No, not losing a piece. I've just opened up my opponent's position, haven't I? I mean, I've liberated the c8 bishop. Downsides here for my opponent. If I take rook d1, bishop e6, it's no big deal. I want to keep the bishop on c8 hemmed in, so maybe like just bishop g3 for a moment. I'm just holding against knight f4. Knight c3, at least the bishop on c8 is still hemmed in. You know, rook ad1 looks like, it just looks like my rooks are much more active at the moment than black's rooks. So, okay, let's see. Rook ad1, bishop d3. Rook ad1, bishop d3, queen e4, g6, h4, coming up, h5. Knight e5 here is interesting. Or protecting this pawn. I'll protect the pawn for a moment. That bishop's still hemmed in. It's got bishop a6 if I'm not careful. Knight e5 and take off this. Right. I don't want too many exchanges around here. Play queen e4, bishop c3. Bishop d3 is not doing much. If I give him that pawn, I have a feeling this can't be good for black to take this pawn. I can't explain entirely why just yet. Takes, let's see, bishop d6. The rook moves. I think it's wasting a bit of defensive time actually. What about just h4 for knight g5? Ah, now can I not just take that? Why can't I take that? There's b5 itis spread to my opponents today. b5 doesn't seem to me the scariest move I was thinking about. I wonder what the point was of that. I've got to stop bishop a6. Well, it's not a lethal move, bishop a6 anyway. I mean, there's c4, there's a6, there's bishop c6, bishop c6, knight e5, bishop d3 here. Was it just to generate some piece play, I wonder? I can put this bishop against h7. And now actually bishop c3, there might be queen c2 for bishop h7. Bishop moves bishop h7. I'm not totally displeased so far. I generate some weaknesses. g6. Provoke some weaknesses, generate some weaknesses. Now, what about h4? Is this discovered attack on my queen? I can't see it. It's a big deal at the moment. Knight before this takes. I'll try and loosen this pawn chain with h5. But the queen's holding there at the moment. Certain aspects of this position, this pawn chain. Alright, d3 is the problem, but not really. Rook d3 and queen a8 after, so I can take care. Knight d3 is rook d3. Knight takes, rook takes. The rooks are holding each other on rook b8. Well, yeah, I think this is rook takes d3 here. If rook b8, there's rook takes d8 check. There's nothing working with bishop c7, so, but I'll threaten bishop c7. Although there's queen at a3, it's not a big deal. My rook's loose here. The queen c7 is a different proposition, because that will be check on d8. I think I'll play queen c7. Well, let's piece up. Put the bishop on there. And I'll stop the king coming out to d7. Bring my king out. Knight There's no tactic on the bishop. Well, knight d7, I suppose. It's not needed. I just bring my king up to the center. Let's fix these pawns. And get to work on a5. Avoid a stalemate. I'll just go for the pawns over here. Alright, thanks for the game, Colin. Okay, butterfly. Butterfly. Something reasonably. Knight c3. Trying to avoid. Okay. I get the centre pawn there for a flank pawn, and we've had this kind of thing before, haven't we? I don't mind knight g8 because f5 is good. To go backwards sometimes with the knight to g8 is not cut completely, except for knight d6. I've got to be careful. I've just gone into a forced mate, have I? Takes knight f5, protects g7, but it's looking scary. I get 2 pawns for the knight here. Yeah, I think I'll do this. I don't like how scary this looks. This is a 3-minute game or something. Even more justified. Okay. And get this f4 pawn. Try and work on my center. D7. This is a bit dumb, isn't it? Of me. Is g4 going to drop? I double on c2. And play g6. Or b4. It looks as though I might be getting another pawn. It's only 1 pawn for a piece at the moment. But I was just a bit worried about the attack. That was brilliant. I can get knight e6 to d4 here. Was bishop d5. Alright. And for the king. Oh, e4 would have been interesting. Mind you, bishop d5, rook g4. Alright, get this g4 pawn. I don't think this is too clever though. Get my pawn going here. E4. got 2 pass pawns over here to play with. Okay, it's going to be a time thing. Let's start pre-moving and stuff. It's crazy, this 3-minute chess. it's a little relative of bullet chess. It's just crazy. Yeah, if I had more control on the longer time limit, because it was, yeah, just the piece for speculative, not very good. Yeah, well played. That was could have gone either way, basically. I'm a lucky bunny there. Lucky bunny. All right, let's try d4. Just change of climate. Change of climate, change of scenery. Better to say. More of a metaphor. Change of scenery with d4. I did really well. You make me laugh on the chat. The only thing I can say about it is there were some trump cards, like the 2 pawns there, and okay, I noticed another one in the center. But if white could have got his pawns going, it would have. I think well played is qualified in context of a 3-minute game, where sometimes the extra piece is not entirely clear cut. Oh dear. Yeah, okay, bunny is. Okay. Oh dear. I thought 95 was entertaining at the time. Yeah, that's my excuse, right? Right, get myself together here. What is going on? Get myself together. Okay. Now, yeah, time for some calm thoughts about chess positions. So, okay, this gives up the light square bishop to maybe create an IQP. Yes, but there's dynamic play with this isolated queen's pawn. There's hooks on c5 and e5. The adjacent files are good for the rooks. It's not all that bad in this position with the bishop pair, I would say, to have the dreaded, or not so dreaded, IQP, the isolated queen's pawn, which is actually a big subject in Nimzovich, my system, the isolated queen's pawn. He recommends you take an element and you try and master it in depth before going on to another element. But there's a much better, not much better, much simpler version of my system, which I've been recommending to a lot of people recently to read. It's like less than $10 from Amazon. It's called Simple Chess by Michael Steen, who was one of Britain's earliest grandmasters, and it's a lot of the same basic positional stuff, but just much simpler written as well. I think these authors give away their philosophy sometimes in the title of the book, because Simple Chess, you might expect it to be simply written, and actually it is. Yeah. Nimzovich, my system, is like an extension, or I think, of his ego. Sometimes he goes on and on about quite seemingly, you know, using great metaphors and stuff. But no, it's a classic, my system. But I think simple chess is simply written, basically. And if it's like less than $10, I would recommend it to check it out if you want to like improve positionally. And I should read it sometime as well. Again, I only got it actually. Well, I have such limited time nowadays, but I want to go for it again. Now the isolated queen's pawn is transforming into just a big pain here. Can I go after a6? This invasion with queen b7. Because I don't think I've got much of anything actually apart from queen b7. The trouble is, it, as Nimzovich says, it spreads gloom all over the chessboard sometimes when pieces have to start defending it. Yeah. So yeah, this is getting gloomier, this position. But queen b7, okay. Different aspect of the position being tested. Maybe I can dissolve it if the locking key is removed from the IQP. If I can get to play d5, so rook a8, d5, dissolve the thing, and end up with possession of the d file. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dissolve this guy. If my queen doesn't get trapped, rook b8, there's queen c6, or queen e7. Maybe queen e7 is more desirable, because takes, I don't want that position, although there is knight takes d5, queen takes knight e7 check. Either way, queen e7 looks good as well, and go to d6 after. If rook e8, just dissolve this IQP. Or queen b4. Yeah, I don't mind the double pawns there. They kind of fix black's queen side. But yeah, it looks as though I haven't got much in this rook and pawn ending coming up. So can they take without losing anything? Takes. There's rook e1 check there. Takes, but I don't think it does anything too spectacular. Takes rook e1. I just take and then take d5. No, rook e1, I've got queen takes e1. There's nothing here apart from a big clock advantage. I suppose possession of the d-file might mean something. Let's hold my second rank for a moment before I go on to the second of my opponent. Pigs on the 7th, as they say. So I've got nothing here. Aha. I've got exactly nothing here, except for a gigantic clock advantage. But I feel obligated to use that advantage, I'm afraid. Here, on this particular occasion, I'm going to be mean and use my clock advantage and my extra pawn. Okay, thanks for the game. I mean, yeah, maybe I can get some pressure, but yeah. Okay, thanks for the game, Kaz. Yeah, well played. McTowell. Now I'm going to try and vary, because I know you guys are preparing against me and breaking my systems behind the scenes, so I'm going to play English opening. Oh, an FM in the chat. Schellingford. He who fears an IQP should give up on chess. Give up chess. Steinitz. I've got this gambit system here. Gambiting c4, which is not going into. That's really annoying. Take my c4, please. Take it. Right, don't then. I want to play for e4. I don't like all this binding light squares here. Release the binds, the shackles. And so he didn't want to win a pawn on c4. That's interesting. That says something about the philosophy of black's play, I think, is to play without giving me too much dynamic, fun play, I guess. Can I play d5? Takes knight f6. No, we can't take. You can play knight f6 immediately. Queen e2, and I've got that pin on e7. So maybe this is worthwhile. Yeah. That unpins, doesn't it? If I play queen c2, I'm just wondering if ever takes maybe knight h4 then, and get the f5 square. So that protects d5, and knight f5 is coming with knight h6 as an idea, or d6. In fact, d6 immediately is possible here. Knight f5 is interesting on takes. Well, there's g7 mate for a start. I think this is an interesting position now for me. I'm hoping it's an interesting position for me. Knight takes, there's queen takes mate, bishop takes, I'm taking for queen g7 mate. d6 is threatened almost for the bishop on b7, so no taking. Well, there isn't any anyway. Bishop e7, there's knight e7, king h8. Anything going on spectacular there? I think d6 is, or knight h6. I'm not sure knight h6 does anything. He just plays king h8. Knight e3, does that do anything? I don't think d6 does anything particularly because the pawn's just loose. If I just try and hold the position with knight e3, there's no major downsides of this. I'll keep the pawn for a moment. d6 is possible. I can just try and double rooks without worrying about knight e4 for a moment. Alright, there's always knight f5 to kick. I wonder if I could use the pawn over there. Knight f5, d6. Queen e5. Rook d5. Queen c7, rook d2. Queen d8. Queen e5 is possible as well. Knight f5, rook d7, d6, knight e7 to follow. I think this is possible. Rook d5, queen c7, rook d2, queen d8. I get to play knight f5 rook moves. d6 hits the queen, hits the bishop. What about knight f5 here? Now I'm on the rook, there's no rook e8. I think d6 might be tempting more in this scenario. The bishop takes, king takes. That pawn looks like a dangerous pawn, not entirely weak. Something like queen e6 is an example. What? I think there's a knight e7 at the end of this. Knight e7. I'll just take her. Thanks for the game, Migtal. Thanks for the game. Interesting. Alright, Simba. Hi, Simba. Give me the white pieces. I'll play c4. Okay, play this kind of bottleneck system without allowing bishop g4. Place for f5. No, not now. I'm going to take f4, f5. I'm going to play for f4, f5. I think this is a role reversal. I think, has he played this against me with white? The dreaded Botvinnik system setup, which requires not too much theoretical knowledge. I think it's ideal in many respects for players if they just want a great position without too much theory. You can sometimes get a great position without too much theory. I'm just going to build up with like h5, king h, sort of King's Engine style. Maybe rook f3 to h3. King f2, rook h1 to double rooks, in effect. And sack on g5 at some point. The other consideration here is knight d5. It only takes to get the e4 square. So I'm playing it like a reverse King's Engine now. D5, there's a clamp at the moment. I don't think d5 is possible for black. I'm in trouble with queen h2 maybe coming up. Do I want my king on g3 or just f1? F1 looks safer. So king f1, queen h2, then just take here, take here, take here. That's the plan. Treble, and g5 will fall. d5 in the meantime, interesting. Well, I'll go down the h file now. Queen h5. Alright, bishop g5 coming up. Bishop g5 gives queen e6. Queen e6. Bishop g5 for queen e6. I can protect with bishop e2 here, or king e2. Maybe king e2 is better. That's queen h5. Is there anything about queen h5? Well, just bishop g5 is mentioned. Takes f6. Looks very good, actually. Because otherwise I'm wasting time. D5 might come f6 takes. I'm taking on e7 minimum. Also, I'm trying to open up this light squares for the bishop. Is f7 any good? Because if rook g7, queen h8, there's knight g8, fg, rook g8, queen, there's no queen f6 there. It's just taking in rook h7, rook g7. Is f7 any good? Rook g7, queen h8, knight g8 takes. I'll take it here for a moment. Just protect my d3. There's queen f5 to think about. For rook h7. I get this e4 square. Knight f4, king d2. I'm looking forward to knight e4. I'll just blunder the queen. Not with check though. Let's not do it with check. Still knight e4 is interesting. And d6 and g5, two connected pass pawns here potentially. Doesn't want to protect that. I've got the two connected pass pawns. The question is d5, g5 and f6 coming. It gives me bishop g4 of king e6. Yeah, I'm banking on these guys, I hope. I could win bishop if I'm not careful. Get this guy. g5, g6, g7. Looks sort of dangerous. Is it quick enough? Could threaten knight h6 and knight e7. This pawn's very dangerous as well though. It's going to have to be prepared to sack the rook. And there's f7 after knight h6, king h, f7, and king g7. I'm going to take a2, king e6, threatens f7, mating. Queening first with check. Right, again, we're back to knight h6. f7. There's a check. There's queen g7 and then f7. Hang on, I can't do that. Mm. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That was... I think... Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. That was what it was, which was a fight, major fight, yeah. That was a street fight, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it was winning there, yeah. I missed the knight forking my queen. Yeah, but I mean, there was opportunities, I think, yeah. Okay, let's go on to another game. All right. Oh man. Yeah, that was brilliant play to get the a pawn was so dangerous. Calmly, the rook g8 business and only h file infiltration I thought was a bit dodgy, but I think I blundered with that knight fork. Oh, I didn't really prove a downside, did I? I thought the h file infiltration only was good for white, potentially. Crikey. Not that I'm trying to recover from the previous game, yeah. Yeah, seriously, I'm not trying to recover from the previous game or anything. Okay, yeah. I watched a good film last night. The Accountants, yeah, I recommend it. It was very good. The Accountants. Not about accounting that much, although there's a bit of accounting. Dear oh dear. Okay. Okay. This looks a little bit dangerous, doesn't it? If I play queen a5, that's knight d5. What do I want to do here? What do I want to do if I don't want to do this to weaken my king too much? Take on f5 or bishop c6. Looking for any downsides of white's position. Can't see any. Queen a5, there's always knight d5, right? We'll play something like bishop c6. About b5 for knight c2 and then b4. That's a move. For knight c2 and then b4. It's a move. I'm not sure it's brilliant, but it's an idea. Just knight c2. It just stopped in its tracks, but it doesn't matter. Knight e5 now. Knight wants to go to e5 anyway. That's a good point. Knight c4, yeah, that would be... Oh, this is getting a bit dangerous again. I think with the knight on e5, I'm hoping I can defend a bit. And there's rook h8 to stop knight h5. This check could come in handy. I'm hoping this is okay. f6 is fg, knight f5 can always take, and queen e8. Or the knight's holding g6 and f7. The knight's handy here defensively. The check here is not offering too much at the moment. There's f6, hang on, there's f6. If I'm given a move here, f6, because knight's holding g6. Looks as though g5 after. Or even f6 here. Looks as though at least there's no attack, except for knight h5. No, I need that pawn there to stop h5. Knight h5. Do I have e6 here? So it drops. Yeah, okay, need to go with this. There's a check here, maybe rook h2. Check. King here, rook h2. This is not immediately mating, so I could play the check with e7 dropping. There's check. No. There's rook h5, simpler, rook h5. Just to evict this queen. And queen b6 and rook h8. Much simpler without losing a rook for nothing. Queen e3 would stop the check. Couldn't play it early because he would have queen e7 though anyway. So then queen b6 for rook h8. Without losing a rook there, this is just good pressure on h2. f6 though is a concern. King g8 maybe, f7, king f8. King g8. There's no check on the knight squares. f7, king f8. h3. Actually, what about just rook f5 there? Well, this is not good, is it? Alright, thanks for the game, Azur. Missed. Okay. It's a decline from non-premium, by the way, just to make sure I don't blunder later. Another non-premium here. There's quite a few non-premium challenges today. Guys, you've got to become a premium. I'll give you the link in the... Blimey, there's like a ton of non-premium challenges to navigate through here. I don't know if anyone can find that link from earlier I put in the chat. If you do want to challenge me, there's a link which actually gives me some referral bonuses as well, which I put in the chat earlier. I'm just going to paste it in the chat now. If you want to challenge me, please become a premium member. And to do that, there's this link which has refer ref equals Kingscrusher. Okay, so we'll go on to the next premium member challenge, so that nice little premium user icon. Okay. Karyakin fan by heart. Trying to batch process that in advance because it's easy to make a mistake there and accept non-premium at the moment. So I'm trying to avoid that mistake from previous sessions. The castling c4 is going to be dangerous. So probably I should take care for that c4, that dreaded c4, because black creates this avalanche on the queen side. I'm just wondering if I should have be worried about this for knight e4. Maybe I should have taken more time there. I guess there's queen e1. Okay. Hitting c6, getting some light squares. I mean, queen e1, bishop d3, it looks kind of vaguely theoretical. Maybe bishop d3 should be played just to be able to take on e4, if given the chance. If knight e4 is not played now, then bishop d3. Actually, I'm immediately threatening knight c6, aren't I? Almost takes, and yeah, almost. No, I think bishop d3. Do I want to do that? Probably. Maybe here it would just cover the I don't know. Knight c6. Is there any benefit of knight c6 here? Or h6. A form pawn could be handy later. Alright, so this is intriguing because knight c6 is not doing anything. Knight e7, queen e7 is holding c5. Alright, so I thought queen e1 from earlier. Alright, so he's actually got a nice knight on e4. I've got a nice knight on d4 though, so it's not the end of the world totally. The other thing about this, depends really on his next move. It's going to change the picture here. If he plays g6, g6, g4, f5, if I want to try and break through the king side. Well, that seems too much. What about just bishop d3 actually? If he takes cd, I can evict this knight and use the c file. I'm hoping knight c5, king b1, and I'm hoping this isn't too dangerous. One of my good friends, Paul Georgiou, actually beat David Bronstein in a French defense, similar sort of position where he had a pawn on d3, and eventually he created a pass pawn on the king side. He actually got to play David Bronstein at Lloyd's Bet Masters around 1990, I think, in a sort of similar sort of opening to this French classical, with this kind of structure with a pawn on d3. Queen f2 might offer later knight b5 for a loose c5 knight. If I can play rook d2 and rook here, that c5 knight might be loose, but it also supports f5 potentially. So it supports knight b5 potentially tactically, and also rook d2, rook c1, knight b5. But it also supports, I think, g4 and f5. So something like rook d2, rook hc1. Right here, I get to play knight c6 potentially, just immediately without having to worry about d3. That's what I was wondering about this actually. Knight c6 looks, it's worth investigating for a moment. Knight c6, rook e8, it's not such a big deal. Alright, so he's holding up against f5. if I just try and double rooks, or play knight c6 first, then double behind the c6 knight, just as a mechanism for doubling rooks behind c6, it might be useful to get this tempo before rook c8 challenges that c file. Right, so can I just double behind the c6? If I play b3, is that a4? If I play d4? h6 is hanging here. There is knight a7 threatening rook c7. That's interesting. Don't think b3 is too much to worry about. Takes rook c7. Rook a8, rook c7. Knight b6, rook c7. b3, I mean maybe even rook c7 there. Takes king a1. Actually, yeah, why not rook c7? Yeah. I'm not getting mated immediately. And covering b5 with a knight. Let's take this. Oh, thanks for the game, Karakin Fanboy Heart. Thanks for the game. Alright, FM opponent, next game. Hi, Shellingford. Okay, let's try French with knight c6. Bit of a surprise weapon. Don't spend too long now. I need to take with the bishop. Maybe there's a bit of play there. I'm just wondering, any f4, bishop a6 later. Oh, right. Now bishop a6 here or rook b8. Maybe rook b8 is more active. Bishop a6. There's bishop c5 on f2 and queen h4. That's going to be dangerous. I can take here and then rook b6. Hitting c6. Did he want to avoid the bishop c5? I think my problems are solved. There's bishop c5 or d4. Maybe d4. Delay this diagonal for a moment. There's bishop c5 now, protects a7, seems logical enough. d3 immediately, knight d3, bishop f2, knight f2, queen d1, knight d1. I'll accept the blockade for a moment. And c5, c4, this is a queen h4. And this one for c4, I suppose he's got check. And queen c8 for c4, queen h3. And queen over here. Threaten rook f4, or maybe h5, h4. Or rook f4, or h5, h4, h3, queen f3. Sort out the back row here. And that's queen e2. Knight c5. I think this sorts out the back row. h4. Try and install the form pawn on h3. Could be handy. e6 I can take. Knight c5 I can play rook f4. Alright. Maybe queen f5 is better. Get the queens off. I don't think it's knight c5, there's rook f4 there. The queens come off. And still, I think I'm okay. And just drag this pawn forward. I know there's knight b4, but rook c8. G5 for rook f2, rook f3. I think rook f3 in particular. There's rook f4 here, just easier, isn't it? Two pieces. Or not, maybe not. Right, I have to be careful. Let's sort out my back row. Try and play for bishop d4. Bishop g7. I'm hoping this is good news for bishop g7 and rook d8. And this pawn. I'll play b2, I'll play bishop h6 after b2, d2. For b1. Or just a5, isn't a5 simple enough? d2 ties down the rook. I think just that should be sufficient for b1, d1. Well, that was a tough opponent. Thank you, Shannon. You gave me, I don't know. It's scary stuff. Scary stuff. I don't know what to say. It was like a major fight again. It's nothing. It's not instructive. These are like major street fights. I don't know if it's instructive. It's just like, you know, whatever. I don't. Yeah, it's like a major street fight basically. So anyway, yeah, okay. Tag. Okay. Let's play a Grand Prix attack. If I can recover a Grand Prix attack. It's a 3-minute game. Wake up. It's a 3-minute game. Okay, I've got a bit of spare cold coffee here. Queen h4 and f5. I've come back to this system recently because it meets this tick box I've noted theoretically recently about liberating your pieces and locking out the opponent. If you play like a move like f5, it's liberating both bishops. It's got a feature basically of liberation. This whole system, this Grand Prix attack, is liberating these two bishops and trying to lock in the opponents. I mean, that the idea, if you read Simple Chess, he's basically expressed it very concisely. He's said the pawn structure is the fundamental constraint of the pieces. And you might think, what's the big deal? Okay, I was saying that. Well, it's the way you conduct like attacks. You want to conduct attacks like that where you're liberating your pieces and constraining the opponents. It's a big deal, I think. Just that simple comment, I mean, he makes about the pawn structure is a big deal. And this kind of system, it has that feature to me that, you know, my pieces are kind of getting liberated here without too much complex theoretical knowledge and not even the Smith-Morra Gambit. So there's a change from the Smith-Morra Gambit. The bishop's kind of good here. The rook's kind of good here. This whole system was used with big success by Stuart Rumans in, was it the 70s or the 60s? 70s? David Rumans, not Stuart Rumans, David Rumans. He did, but I think he kept a lot of his score sheets secret, believe it or not. But there are some examples of his play. He wanted to keep them secret at the time because he wanted to win all the prize money without people finding antidotes to the Grand Prix attack. So he won the sort of Grand Prix in England with his Grand Prix attack system. But yeah, a lot of his score sheets were secret. So anyway, Queen f4. But I think it does have this tick box, the Grand Prix system, as I mentioned, that, you know, about piece play, liberation, you know, of pieces. I'm not sure I'm getting anything in particular here after that move though. I want to keep the pawns a little bit like doubled and stuff, so. I will have to waste time with rook a2, go back to the e file, but at least the pawns are still doubled. We'll rule out knight g4. Yeah, because this check could be annoying with knight g4. This is quite a fast-paced game, isn't it? I think the queen's coming off might favour the structure later. That's a little bit compromised there. Alright, so much for my attack. It's gone. 50 seconds each. We're in bullet mode now. Pre-moves and stuff. Alright, I'm going to bet to play knight b4. Well, that fixes the 2 pawns there anyway for a moment. Why didn't I just take on a6? I'm hitting a6 and I didn't take it. It's the only thing I'm doing in the position as well. Is this knight's the only free active spare, you know, thing to be using. Okay. All right. Now hang on. There's too much danger here. Let's just play with knight c7 then. Oh, there's knight d5. You can play knight g3 to avoid losing the exchange, right? Knight takes, knight f1, knight f5. Okay, thanks for the game, Tarsag. Kingscrusher. I'll try and mix things up with c4. Pre-move this. I'm just wondering about this d-file and diagonal layer. I don't like black's piece play, obviously, but you can't get everything in chess all the time. Try and minimize your downsides and maximize the opponents, exploit the opponents. But here, okay, is taking on f6 an idea? Maybe. Because I'm wondering about the light squares. Knight h4 is a nice pin for a moment. Knight f5 is a nice knight. The immediate concern for black is d5. Giving up the dark square bishop doesn't seem such a big deal. If f2 is protected, I'll use this rook to keep f2. Try and hit the light squares hard, namely d5 and f5. So rook d1, knight f5 later. Or rook d1 I can pile up on the d file. Yeah, rook a d1, knight f5. Okay, that pawn, I don't seem to be losing a piece if I win that pawn. Although there is knight b4 after. So if I play a4 instead of immediate gratification, because I don't want to lose my light square bishop, I can still torture d5 with queen b3, but also knight f5. This knight's kind of misplaced anyway. He's doing a little bit of damage to his position just to hold or create a trap there. I think knight f5 what's wrong with knight f5? I'm starting to mount some pressure surely, or not. The forcing move b4, does it lead anywhere? Bishop can go back to f8. If it goes to d6, this is a line up, interesting lineup. There's going to be queen c6 for knight e7 if he's not careful. Now the bishop's guarding the dark squares at the moment. Is e4 any good? d4. Is b4 any good? What is... Okay, let's have a quick 30-second investment of time here. Any downsides of black's position? Just the d pawn. He's going to play d4. I think that's the point, to protect his thing. He's going to play d4. If I just fix that pawn for a moment, and then double. I think this is the downside. If I can double fixing the pawn without d4, try and discourage d4 anyway. Oh yeah, the knight's holding d4 as well. It makes sense just to double here, if I can. I was just looking tactically. I shouldn't be. Maybe okay. I can just fix this guy. G6, knight d4. And double. It looks like a nice position to work from. Again, there's another 30-second investment I can make to see what any issues have for black. Queen b3, knight b5. Queen a4 could be annoying. Queen a7, queen b3 for e4 could be annoying because taking and winning the rook if there wasn't bishop e4. I think queen b3 for e4. Queen b3 I've got no objection to. Here e4 takes, like, what am I talking about? I'm just wondering what he does about a7. Does he move the rook back? Does he play a6? If he plays a6, then queen b3. If he plays b5, I'm teasing the pawns forward. It might be worth doing this. Teasing pawns here. a4, for example, on b5, a4. Right, queen's holding b6. Knight a4, rook d6. a4, a5, b5. Just hold this for a sec. Against h4. There's also an idea of knight e2 to f4. Alright, I'll fix this side, but I'll give up the b4 square. That wasn't entirely clever. Keep an eye on d5 with queen a2. Can solidify e3 against the sack. So I'm threatening bishop d5, maybe. No, I'm not. I use this guy over here to avoid any bishop sack, trying to keep solid on dark squares. Maybe b4. Queen a3 to keep solid on e3 for a moment. Then b4 takes knight b4. There's knight e4 to factor in. I played rook e2. Or rook d3. Rook e2. really found any downsides of the opponent's position. There's b5. There's b5. Hold on. I'll just go to b5. I don't think it's sound. There's e4 here hitting the queen. Oh no, queen takes. Knight's pinned. Right, let's try and get onto the dark squares. Yeah, I wasn't really getting anywhere from, anyway. Alright, face of the game, Kingscrusher. Tempted to play this, but I bought an system. Sensing e4. I'm not worried about the double pawns, that just strengthens d4. Knight d5 is also intriguing. I'm not playing this. I think this c file could be good. Or if takes, then this pawn mobility over here with f4. Take and then f4. So e5 threatens d6 to win the bishop. e5 might be good, but it loosens d5. If queen f3 maybe. Queen b3 on queen c5, threatening d6, queen c5, queen b3, or queen f3. Maybe queen f3. There's queen c2. Hang on, I'm winning the bishop here. I've just noticed that locks out the bishop. I mean, after a moment of panic there, because my centre's crumbling, I've just noticed actually there is a downside to d6. Yeah, because if I didn't have a3, e6 is unplayable. Whatever. I want a7 now. I'll take on a7, and f5 looks great, because it locks down the e4 square a bit. f6 coming, form pawn. So let's see, f6 here, I mean f5 here. The pawn's hanging as well, but I like this f6 idea. The rooks are joining forces on f7. There's bishop h6 winning in exchange. Queen b2, bishop h6. There's always queen a1 there, hitting a8 and b2 after to get the queens off. Takes the bishop stranded on a8. It's lost on a8. So queen b2, I just take, queen a1. Queen takes, rook takes, bishop's lost. There's not even a check in sight. Double attacking b2 and a8. Come on, queen e3, king h1. I'm just saying, yeah. Right, thanks for the game, Costas. MF Capello. Okay. Trying Sicilian defense. Well, this is annoying, I think. As a Smith-Morrow player, I don't like to see d3. I just realised though you're going to start playing d3, aren't you? If I play, I can't win with this. I could be bluffing now. I could be bluffing. Yeah. I mean, when I said I don't like to see d3, what I meant was, oh yeah, d3 is one of the annoying moves. Okay, d3 is one of the annoying moves the Smith-Morrow Gambit player has to know about. It's annoying. It's annoying. Let's stop no, it's not stopping f5. God. No, sorry. Oh, sugar. I should stop saying that. You shouldn't take the Lord's name in vain. Oh, sugar. Alright, there's a problem with f5, but trivial in the scheme of things. Very trivial. Bishop d7, f5, bishop c6. Rook c8 for b5 or queen a5 takes. Okay, it takes bishop d7, knight d5, bishop d5 on a2 there. Maybe queen a5 is useful in this particular position. It might support b5 later. Actually, oh no, I'm down on the clock. Let's just play queen a5. Push it back. It's giving me the e5 square. If I can tap into e5, and queen e5 immediately, bishop f4. If I play b5 here, I'll support b5. B5 is the thing to do usually, b5. c7. Okay. Yeah, I should have repaired it more. Knight d5, this c file. Rook c8, rook c2, rook c2, there's queen e1 after. Maybe that c file's quite quick for me. He's going like that. Oh, he's on g6. It's like, yeah, I've got to do something quick because my king side could fall apart. Okay. This exchange sack is probably going to be crushing. Tie down. I've got to do something. I want to do something quick, basically. I don't know what. Take here. I was wondering if I get d2, no? Queen a3 on e3 and c1. Knight 6 tank. There's always queen b2 for bishop h6 coming up. Oh, rook f7 for a moment. I think I'm getting stuffed. There's knight e6, isn't there? Bishop takes queen c1. I don't know if I get any. I don't get any checks even. Don't like playing the exchange down. Try and win one of these pawns. No, it's pretty hopeless. I'm stuffed on the clock as well in this game. It's gone. Yeah, stuffed on the clock as well. It's incredible. Okay. Yeah, I had too many problems to solve. Too many problems. Okay. See now. Yeah, finish the game. Doherty. Anakin. Alright. And it's English opening. Okay, we got a game. Let's play bot when it says them. It's 3 minutes each. It's 3 minutes each? Has he got problems with connection? Because like, yeah, you don't want to lose like a third of your time on before move 10. Come on, man. It's a 3-minute game. Get a move on. Get a move on. Has he got a bad connection? Sorry. This feels like a handicap game now. Already. Play b4. Was that falling apart? Don't know. Might be. I'll play b5. I've read somewhere in an English opening book, I think, about the first side to resolve the tension might actually be worse sometimes. If I take with this, I don't leave it exposed. E pawn. If I take on e5 here, or AB, a4. Outpost. If I played this, right, maybe that wasn't too clever. It's bishop c5. Any good? No. Get this b5 square even if I lose a6. Getting b5. Oh, keeping the pawn as well. And so d6 looks huge. For a8, queening. Trying to avoid losing the rook. Still a8 is on the cards here or here. Okay, I'll play g4 just to hold the dark squares. And there's check. And queen e7 in the guts of black's position. And knight d6. Thanks for the game. And again, that was a fun one. But you gave me time odds. It felt as if you were playing a bit too slowly at the start. Let's play an Alcuin's defense. E5, I've seen, I picked this system up from Dave Ledger actually, who we played against in a match recently. He sometimes, I think he's had this. I picked it up, yeah, it looks like some sort of good position sometimes. Sometimes. One should be cynical about this position. It's not a free ride attack position because it's swamping up the queen side at any moment. Although I can, it seems, play for f5 potentially one day. Not now because exchange of queens and stuff. Maybe queen e7. E4 and then f5. Would give f4 on the cards. So here f4 is on the cards. And then d4 would drop if the bishop would move d4. If g3, yeah, f4 takes, bishop h3, if it takes, again knight d4, right. Can I just play queen f7 instead of taking? I don't want to unleash this rook. If I play queen f7, I mean, he takes, okay, it's double pawns, but I get to play f4 again. And g5, there's bishop h5 or knight g6, or knight h5. The question is, does it matter? I think it might do. I'll play this for a moment. What about bishop e8, queen f6, g5? There's always not. Again, knight h5. Okay. Whoops. And that b4 square. Let's play on this side of the board. So d5 would win the knight immediately. Okay. Get prepared for knight c8. Knight c8. Knight e7, knight g8, knight f6. This knight's not good. It's my worst piece. Or bishop c8, knight d7, knight f6. Okay, let's just move it away from the firing line. There's h5, g5, knight g6. I wouldn't. There's f4 there, knight takes, rook takes, bishop moves. There's maybe f3 coming up later. If I did this to try and provoke h5, g5, because I've got g6 covered. So it's g3, this diagonal's weakened. I wonder about putting this bishop on the diagonal. Bishop c8, b6, bishop b7. Any time g3 is played. If h5, g5. Alright, let's try this diagonal. Echoes a weakness. b6, bishop b7. Knight d4 later, bishop d4, e3. Okay, gonna leave a weak pawn on e4, weakening g4 though. G4 might be on the cards. There's knight b4 here, immediately on the queen. a5 looks good. There's bishop e4, hold on. I think there's g5, hg, hg. Probably queen h5, king g2, or just prepare that rook h8. I think g5 immediately might be justified. When his rook's not on h1. There's g4 here, or queen h5, or takes and then g4. g4 is not immediately winning a piece, but bishop takes and g4 looks more promising. It's queen h5 as well. Alright, thanks for the game, opinion. Should we make this one last game now for this session today, because we're approaching 2:30, and okay. Oh, hang on, we've played before, but I guess you're entitled to a rematch. Okay, we'll make this the last game. I was thinking about a book. Do you want a quick book note or not today? A book note or not? Just let me know. If I just say without typing, if I could try and reach out a book I've got around here, chess book, which might be recommendable. Anyone want book notes at the end? Not really. Okay, it's 2:30. Anyway, it's going to be above 2:30 at the end of this game. So okay, we'll carry on next week. And thanks for coming to this session. It's been fun. It's been dramatic. Only one game of the World Championship classical section. I think Magnus is the favourite for the Rapid and the Blitz, because in classical before the match it was 4-1 to Magnus on Classical, but he had a bigger score on Rapid and Blitz. It's a first come first serve basis, so if you want to challenge me next week, yes, I do recommend Steen's Simple Chess. The thing is, I've got it on digital download. I can't actually show it. Yeah, it's a digital download. I got it on. I got other physical books, but yeah, they're not as good as Simple Chess. It's really striking to the fundamentals of chess. You know, I've got hundreds of books here, right? But there aren't that many that just talk about the fundamentals of chess just for the club player. That's why I'd highly recommend it, to check it out if you want to like rapidly improve your game. Oh, F2 was hanging. The weakness of the last bit, F2 was hanging. Come on. You see, I've lost the plot, guys. I've lost the plot. I'm not as sharp now. Not that I was that sharp in the first place, but, you know, F2 was hanging. The last move. It's good to keep awake on these things. Okay, I'm having the rest of the cold coffee. Oh. Kenko Rich, in case you're wondering. It's got a nice taste to it. Kenko Rich. I much prefer it to, say, Nescafe, which I've not drunk for some time now. These dart squares are looking good. Tearing apart the dart squares here. Either knight h5 or knight g5. I mean, both look good. Knight g5 for f3. Okay, blocks. Knight g5 after. Maybe queen h4, knight g5. I want to get rid of the knight because it's the blockader. So knight g5. Bishop g4, f3. No, I don't need bishop g4. Just knight g5 and h5. Knight g5, h5. Right, the king can't use g1. It can use g2. As long as my queen's not getting trapped. h5. There's f3 here. Okay, this looks pretty good with rook f3. Alright, on that note, alright. Alright, thanks. Yeah, it's good fun today. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get 2,500, by the way. Sorry, no, but it's not about rating. It's about the experience. It's about the fun. It was fun. It was fun. I hope I enjoyed it anyway. So, if any of you enjoyed it, that's the real bonus as well. That's the real bonus, of course. Yeah, but the important thing is that I enjoy it. No, anyway, thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks for coming, and see you next week. All right, cheers then. Thanks very much. Comments, questions, likes, appreciate it. Oh, if you want to give a quick rating, by the way, where 1 was fun and 10 was boring, how would you rate today's session? I'm doing an Amazon. How would you rate the experience today? Between 1 fun and 10 boring. Anything? Any votes appreciated there? Just before I close off. or you can just carry on in the chat there on chess24. 2. Okay, we've got 1 vote in. Okay, I'm off now. There's a good film, by the way, to watch, The Accountants. I watched it last night. It's not totally about accountancy. All right, cool. All right. Yes, there's a few ones. There's a 0.1. That's very generous, Alex FTW. All right, Kingscrusher 1, Zoomist 1. Okay. All right. I'm off now. I've got to go. Cheers then. Thanks so much.